Curious Lloyd.
According to the dozens of conspiracies you and your wacky friends on Facebook see, there are terrifying mysteries unfolding all around us all the time. From proof of satanic cults to a government plot to exterminate 500,000 people to evidence of aliens touching down on Earth, the internet has photographic evidence of dozens of shadowy, bone-chilling conspiracies. Photographs that the government doesn't want you to see. However, most of these unexplained photographs have totally rational and comparatively poor explanations behind them, which anyone with 15 seconds and access to Google Images could search and uncover. FEMA's Coffin Stockpile is preparing for a massive planned disaster and is a company's storage field. Get your surgical masks and dental ready, because FEMA is currently working in conjunction with the Centers for Disease Control to make your funeral arrangements. It seems that the US government in particular, the Obama administration, is stockpiling plastic caskets in preparation for some mysterious event that will wipe out a significant chunk of the American population. What makes this theory so convincing is the undeniable evidence, courtesy of Google Earth, showing a staggering number of 500,000 to be exact of black human-sized Tupperware containers stored smack dab in the middle of Georgia, which is the state which is home to the Centers of Disease Control. This tells us two things. First, the FEMA and the CDC is preparing for a truly apocalypse-worthy number of sudden casualties. And second, they are inexplicably going to bury us all, individually, after the apocalypse ends, of course. But the reality really is that the so-called FEMA caskets are in fact burial vaults. The plastic containers used in essentially every modern burial that takes place in the United States. They are the outer shells used to prevent moisture and creepy crawlies from ever reaching those ornate caskets that people drop $5,000 on before dropping them into the ground and covering them with dirt. Seeing as how they are designed to withstand an entirety 6 feet underground, the company that manufactured them, Vantage Products, in Covington, Georgia, chose to skip the cost of a normal warehouse and instead stack their supply in a field where they've been storing them for nearly 20 years. But take that advent off Google Earth, add the location's close proximity to the CDC's in Atlanta, and multiply the result by the truly mind-boggling number of caskets involved, and suddenly Obama is planning to gas Americans with a virus. Also, about the aforementioned mind-boggling number of 500,000, that was a simple case of good old-fashioned internet hyperbole. The actual number of burial vaults on the property were around about 50,000, a far cry from the 500,000 claimed by conspiracy types. Though that's still enough to make people concerned for general health and well-being of the citizens of Georgia. JFKs Umbrella Man was some guy staging a 3-time protest. The JFK assassination undoubtedly holds some sort of world record, being the only true life event to inspire more fan theories than Game of Thrones. One such theory revolves around the Umbrella Man, an otherwise nondescripted man who inexplicably opened an umbrella near the president's car route mere seconds before the assassination. Was the Umbrella Man signaling the shooter or the shooters to begin his or their assault? Long before being popularized by Oliver Stone's Academy Award nominated film, Umbrella Man captured the public's imagination from the moment the Zapruder film was released to the public in the mid-70s. The mysterious figure zoomed like Mary Poppins onto conspiracy theorists' radars, with a young Bill O'Reilly positing in the 1970s that Umbrella Man was not merely a signal man, but a full-fledged assassin armed with a weaponized umbrella, so a bit like 007's gadgets. But you can't deny that there's something bizarre and a little creepy about a guy who on a sunny day without a cloud in the sky, when literally no one else had an umbrella, and opened one up moments before one of the most notorious events of the 20th century. But the true reality of it, of course, was there was actually very little mystery surrounding the identity of the Umbrella Man, considering he readily told the world who he was back in 1978. As revealed in testimony before the United States House Select Committee on Assassinations, Umbrella Man wasn't a Soviet plant, a CIA stooge, or a professional assassin. He was simply Louis Stephen Witt, and also was hilariously demonstrating in the courtroom with his umbrella, and was sorely lacking any type of cliché shooter or rocket launcher or a mechanized boxing glove. But you're probably thinking, why the umbrella? It was Witt's way of protesting, not JFK, but his father Joseph P. Kennedy, who was a former ambassador to the UK. Now you see, back in the 1930s, Joe Kennedy was known to pal around with the notorious Nazi appeaser Neville Chamberlain, who was in turn known for his propensity to lug around an umbrella at all times. Witt thought the ultimate form of protest would to be flash an umbrella at Joe Kennedy's son. He wasn't part of some nefarious assassination conspiracy. He was a random guy whose terribleness at staging a protest was only surpassed by his transcendentally poor timing. The Solway Spaceman was the photographer's wife. On a clear summer's day in 1964, Jim Templeton snapped a few photos of his daughter sitting in a meadow in a pretty new dress. After retrieving the developed photographs from his pharmacist, Templeton discovered one shot in particular that served as UFO enthusiasts the Shroud of Turin ever since. What appears to be a moon man is sprouting out of the back of the girl's skull like a dandelion. The so-called Solway Spaceman, named after the area where the photo was taken, is clearly visible in the background, a tall, mysterious figure clad in what appears to be an interstellar beekeeper's uniform, looming behind the little girl. Neither Templeton nor his wife or daughter could remember anyone else being there when the picture was taken. What's more, the silvery white phantom astronaut appeared to be directing his gaze at the photographer, as if questioning why nobody had managed to notice him. Kodak offered a reward to anyone who could debunk the photograph, which went unclaimed. To add further, Templeton claimed to have been questioned about the incident by none other than the Men in Black, who referred themselves to only as Agents Number 9 and Number 11. But the stupid reality is, the Solway Spaceman was Templeton's wife, Annie, and somehow neither one of them managed to figure this out until like half a century. After adjusting the colours to match up with the other, less publicised images taken that day, analysis of the overexposed image reveals that the figure in the background is identical to Annie, right down to the blue sleeveless dress she was wearing that day. It's entirely possible that Templeton never realised that Annie had stepped into the frame, because the viewfinder of the camera he was using, a Contax Pentacon FSLR, that obscured the outer third of the subject. Also, she's facing away from the camera, clearly unaware that she's in the shot. It's nothing more than a case of people projecting what they wanted to see onto a blurry image. The secret satanic wedding was an art project, taken from either a drone or a balcony high enough to make Spider-Man crap himself. This image appears to be nothing more than a private wedding party getting crashed by some nosy neighbour, at first glance, that is. Watching the party from a balcony, barely visible in the background of the photograph, is a group of terrifying hooded figures that look nothing less than Satan's groomsmen. Their obviously evil presence cast the wedding below in an entirely different light. The fact that it's taken place in broad daylight adds an extra creepy touch to the whole affair. The photo circled the web repeatedly, its mystery inflated by the fact that the unidentified wedding party and unspecified city left the details up to the viewer's imagination, which was still reeling after having spent a solid 10 seconds staring at the photo before the hooded figures jump out. So, are the cryptic beings there to curse the newly married couple and steal their unborn child in some kind of omen situation? The thing is, the stupid reality is, the entire spectacle, stashed discreetly away in the narrow New Orleans courtyard in the French Quarter, was a 2012 public art project celebrating John Kennedy's Tully's famous New Orleans set novel, A Confederacy of Dunces. Artist Dawn Dodot, seemingly having read the novel's title and heard that it referenced the goddess of Fortuna a lot, she created her installation, The Goddess Fortuna, and her subjects in an effort to make sense of it all by gathering up 66 mannequins and fashioning them into literal confederacy of dunces. The public work was hosted by the historic New Orleans collection, which, as far as I know, has only minimal ties to the occult. In the center of the courtyard, obstructed from the view in the viral photo, was a recreation of the bedroom of the novel's Ignatius J. Riley, accompanied by a ghostly moving image of the aforementioned Fortuna. So, while a gang of hooded mannequins is unequivocally the creepiest thing you could ever accidentally capture in your wedding photograph, it's by no means evidence of a secret baby stealing cult hiding out in the French Quarter. Have you ever dreamed about this man was an advertising experiment? So who here, watching this video, has dreamed about this guy? Besides looking like someone who has to notify a federal registry every time he moves to a new address, he's some kind of dream hunting shadow being. According to the official account, sometime in 2006, an unidentified woman described a balding, moon-faced gentleman with a formidable eyebrow game to a psychiatrist. The man had been appearing in her dreams and giving her life advice, because he apparently had some kind of stake in whether or not she got that big promotion. Soon, the psychiatrist's other patients were describing the very same Dreamland's life coach, so he forwarded the description to his colleagues, and soon the patients were describing dreams starring this very same guy, ominously known only as this man. The story picked up steam, and posters seeking more information about this man began popping up all across the world, demanding to know how many people's subconscious had been invaded by Andrew Lloyd Webber's astral projection. Shockingly, thousands of people around the globe reported seeing this guy's weird face in their dreams. Sometimes he was a helpful figure, lending people meaningful advice. Other times, he was some murderer. Furthermore, many people claim that this man told them to go north, either hinting to go seek Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. So, who is this man, and how did he slink into our collective unconscious? Well, the reality is, this man was definitely a product of the imagination. Sociologist and marketer Andrea Natala, a self-appointed subversive hoaxes specialist, an Italian marketing company, Guerriglia Marketing. The whole thing was an elaborate social experiment in the field of weird art projects, exploring pornography, politics, and advertising. It was literally created to see how many people would deliberately choose to be fooled by it. According to Natella, the stunt was designed to gauge suggestibility and highlight the ability of media advertisers to implant false memories or manipulate thoughts. And judging by the slew of people who claim to have seen this man, and the overwhelming receptive nature of the internet in general, the experiment was shockingly successful. Considering Nattel's background, this probably means that we're only a year or two away from advertisers getting us to watch their commercials in our dreams. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and I will catch you again next week with a formidable eyebrow game to a psychiatrist. A formidable eyebrow game. What did I just say? A formidable eyebrow game. Christ. Monobrow, monobrow, monobrow.